Have you ever heard the legend of Steve the Unfortunate? I thought not. It's a legend that the Decepticon High Council will not want you to know. It was said that he was so powerful that he survived an entire series where characters got killed left and right. It's also rumored that he had the power to cheat death itself. Anyway, so I'm talking about Steve today because since the cliff jumper video and the video I uploaded yesterday, I haven't uploaded in like 5 days in a row because I actually have no excuse. I was working on character designs for my future animation. I just finished Dark of the Moon Optimus Prime, as you can see here. It was actually a bit difficult at first, but now that I got the design down, I'm pretty sure I can replicate this when it comes to animating. I'm working on Flatline next, but yeah, that's my excuse. Anyways, before we begin, I'm gonna give a shout out to Green Dragon because his two fish tragically passed away. They were called Optimus Prime and Megatron, and I wanna say their names are actually fitting considering their colors. And yes, a moment of silence for the fishes. May Primus embrace them in the afterlife of the Allspark. Yeah, I'm very sorry for your loss, Green Dragon. You know, losing pets sucks. It's like, you know, it feels really bad. It feels bad. But hopefully you're hanging in there and don't let that get you down. So, yeah. But on brighter news, I'm bringing back the Transformers fanfiction reading. If you guys want to participate on that, go to my Discord server. We're probably gonna start recording Thursday or Friday. I haven't decided yet. Oh, and TF Fanpage is joining us, just so you know. Anyways, I'm gonna be telling you the full story of Steve the Vehicon. And what better way to explain it to you than by reading it off the official Transformers Prime wiki. So, sit back, relax, and enjoy my beautiful voice as I explain to you the legend of Steve. Let's begin! Also, by the way, another disclosure before we begin. For the fanfiction reading, I'm asking if you guys can do some Blood Rain fan art. Like, that's the fan-made character I made for the series. So, if you make some fan art of her, I'll give you a shout out. I will give you a direct shout out. I won't be like, you know, fan art of the day, it's just right over here. I will actually acknowledge it and, you know, give you a shout out. Even a shout out to your YouTube channel if you have one. So, yay! Anyways. Steve the Vehicon, or simply Steve, is a fan-given name for a very clumsy Vehicon in Transformers Prime. One of the most notable occurrences of Steve is the Vehicon whose Starscream slapped in Sick Mind. Another appearance of Steve was the Vehicon Megatron threw off the Nemesis when Smokescreen took the Omega keys in Inside Job. He has the unique ability to switch between the regular car, minor, and seeker body types, depending on the task at hand. Poor Steve just suffers the worst of fates, but somehow survives. He often spends his time when our Vehicon refers to as Gary, and that's probably gonna be a video for another time, so thumbs up if you want a Gary episode. So now I'm gonna read the description of him. Alias, Steve the Vehicon, or Steve. Species, Cybertronian. Rank, Soldier. Status, Online. By the way, this is actually accurate. Steve is actually alive at the time Zerwath in disguise. I'm not even making this up, this is actually canon. I'll explain that later in the video. Gender, male. Eye color, red. Primary color, purple. Secondary color, silver. Tertiary color, gray. Is this like a wiki description? Or is this an OC make your own Transformers character fanfiction type of thing? Because it's sounding way too familiar to like the way the Transformers X Reader story played out with create your own Transformers character. Number of resurrections. Oh my god. Unknown. Poor Steve gets injured and blown up so much it is difficult to keep track. That's actually in the wiki. Many people have beaten him to near death in almost every way possible, but no one's permanently killed him. Yes guys, it's like the light from Destiny. You can trap it, even try to block it, but Steve just finds a way. Affiliations, Decepticon. Enemies, Autobots, formerly Arachnid, Harshell, Bombshell, Leland Bishop. I like how each one of Steve's enemies are either dead or they're no longer his enemies with the Autobots, because Steve's now an Autobot. This is funny. Like, Steve doesn't have any enemies because they're all dead. Can we get a meme of that on our Discord server, please? Powers and abilities. Equipment, Blaster, and he's voiced by any actor who was voiced by a Vehicon. Oh, that's pretty specific. Anyway, so now I'm gonna tell you his story. Okay, Darkness Rising Power 1, Steve and Gary were driving around Jasper, Nevada when they spotted RC and Jack Darby and pursued them. He informed Commander Starscream about the Autobot after fighting Bumblebee and RC for a while. Steve was later on the Nemesis Bridge when Starscream told him to activate the space bridge to bring Megatron to Earth. Darkness Rising Part 4, Bulkhead started climbing the side of the Nemesis to save Agent Fowler. Steve ran to the side and looked around, but was thrown off the Nemesis by Bulkhead. Still firing his blaster arm, Steve and Gary found the humans Jack and Raph and brought them on board the Nemesis. Bumblebee and RC knocked them over to save the humans. Steve soon made his way to the Nemesis Bridge, found humans, and got smacked around by Bulkhead for doing so but survived. Miko also took a picture of him. Oh yeah, that was Steve. Master and students, when Starscream gave his speech to the Decepticons that he should be leader, Steve raised hand and questioned Starscream about his leadership since Megatron was dead. Steve should have probably challenged Starscream right then and there. I mean, all of Steve's enemies are dead, so maybe he could have taken over as leader. Can you imagine Supreme Leader of the Decepticons Steve? Con job. Steve was one of the Vehicons who attacked Wheeljack after his ship was shot down. RC states that Wheeljack miswondered who was Steve. Wheeljack, who was really makeshift, shot Steve, probably with a stun blast, looking like Wheeljack killed Steve. I like how the wiki describes all these excuses. They're like, oh yeah, I mean, Steve could have totally taken them down, but he was playing around. It's like those Jaren memes back in the day. Convoy. Steve and several other vehicles were sent by Starscream to destroy the Autobots, with Steve being the one in the front during the fight. Steve managed to knock out Optimus Prime with a trunk. Steve and the others were soon forced to retreat. You guys see? See? Now, this is why Steve should be on the Versus series. He has feats. He just outsmarted Optimus Prime and took him down. It's not like the Mountain Dew bug who did nothing. Steve took down Optimus Prime. Deus Ex Machina. When Starscream got his hands on the Energon Harvester, he decided on Steve, who was guarding the area. His Energon was drained by the Energon Harvester, and I'm assuming he came back to life somehow. Sick Mind. When the Nemesis cloaking device? That's what the wiki says, by the way. Stopped working. Steve reported that the crew was working as quickly as they can. Starscream then decided to slap them. Well, you see, Starscream, that was your first mistake. Out of his head. When Starscream had the lens working, Steve was tasked with managing the heating device. When Optimus jumped onto the Nemesis, Steve was knocked out of the operator seat so Starscream could use it on Optimus Prime. Oh yeah, well that was rude. Shadow Zone. When Starscream had requested a ground bridge back to the warship, Steve was operating the ground bridge. I like how Steve is the engineer, the ground bridge operator, the fighter, the jet. Steve is like the Larry of this world. When Starscream came through, Steve noticed him missing his arm. Starscream told him not to tell anyone, but he probably told Soundwave about it. Oh, that's how Soundwave found out about it. Oh, okay. Oh, Steve. Loyal trooper through and through. TMI. Steve and our Vehicons were sent to help Knockout and Breakdown retrieve the data cylinder. That's it? Oh, that was kinda short, I guess. Stronger, faster. Steve was sent in with other jet Vehicons to terminate RC. They were about to kill RC when Ratchet came in and trashed them. Steve was back punched by Ratchet before he said "Hooah!" Steve Minor Body was later sent to take up an Energon deposit while other Vehicons protected him. That was a punishment for his early screw up against Ratchet. He noticed the slaughter and tried to escape. Someone needs to fix that. But was tortured by the cruel Autobot Ratchet. He survived because Optimus told Ratchet to spare the Decepticon Minor. Minor side note, I know that MGO360 actually made a skit of this when the Autobots were attacking Steve, like Optimus Prime appears and he's like, oh no, his name's Steve, he's cool. Or maybe it was Gary, I forgot, but the point still stands. Which gave him the chance to escape and regroup with other cons at an Energon mine. He was talking with Breakdown about Arachnid when Ratchet showed up. He was about to shoot out of fear of a third smackdown when Breakdown gestured not to. He may have fled before Breakdown got his butt kicked by Ratchet. Probably. He's not seen after that. One shot full. Steve led the way as the Vehicons escaped the military base with a part of the space bridge. He informed Megatron that they had the package, but the Autobots had arrived. Steve may have fled when the battle was not going in their favor. One shall rise. Steve and other Vehicons were present for the special event, Spider Spy Master Smackdown, Soundwave vs Arachnid. Oh. I was so confused for a second, I was like, what is this guy talking about? Steve and the other Decepticons soon bowed to Megatron when he and Orion Pax boarded the Nemesis. Orion Pax Part 1. When RC boards the Nemesis, RC threatened to kill him if he didn't tell her where Orion Pax was. More Vehicons showed up, and RC didn't kill Steve. He managed to get back on his feet and pursued RC. When Orion Pax decided to see what was the commotion going on outside his room, Steve ran past and told Orion Pax to stay at his station. Orion Pax Part 2. Steve pursued Starscream after he boarded the Nemesis. Starscream shot him and he crashed into the wall but survived the explosion. Guys, of course he did. Orion Pax Part 3. Steve and Gary kept an eye on Optimus after he saw his image in the Decepticon databanks. They beat up Optimus and Steve said he enjoyed beating up the former Autobot leader until Optimus shot both Vehicons. I see Steve still falls for the common bad guy syndrome of underestimating your enemies and gloating too early. Armada. Steve tells Megatron that the power core was compromised. Steve tells Megatron the ship is operating itself, then gets sapped. I like how Steve, even in the minor appearances, at least finds a way to be in almost every episode. Hurt. Steve insulted the Insecticons and gets thrown into the door of the med lab. Steve later told Megatron about a transmission from Wheeljack. The human factor. Steve was present to fight the Autobots and was tackled by Smokescreen. Smokey saw the blast from the satellite and jumped out of the way, so Steve got fried. Poor Steve. You know, Steve survived basically a Kamehameha from outer space. If that's not versus series worthy, I don't know what is. Legacy. Steve is the Vehicon who uncovers the Star Saber. After Smokescreen fails to put out the sword, he's shot in the back by Steve but survived. You see guys, that's a good feat. Steve one-shot Smokescreen. Steve was later knocked out by RC after Bulkhead saved Smokey for another Vehicon. Why is they call him Smokey? It sounds so weird. Inside job. When Smokescreen escaped the Nemesis with the Omega Keys, Steve, car form, and other Vehicons cornered him. Smoke jumped and Megatron threw Steve and a jet Vehicon after him. Steve transformed to car mode and shattered to the ground. His parts were gathered up and he was repaired when the other Vehicons searched the wreckage for the keys. Wow, that was lucky. Steve appeared in a few flashbacks and was present when Starscream started dancing. All others see so Steve are his appearances in past episodes and therefore do not need to be mentioned again. Oh, I'm enjoying myself. I hope you guys are enjoying this too. Darkmount NB. Steve and another Vehicon found islands in the destroyed Autobot base, but soon were yelled at for not finding any Autobots. Steve, Jet, soon is sent to patrol for Autobots, but fails to recognize Bumblebee. He later accompanied Knockout to Cybertron. That's the kind of misspelling I expect with the fanfiction rating, not a wiki. To find the remaining relics and pointed out to Knockout about finding Shockwave. Scatter. Steve and another Vehicon get ready to smelt Wheeljack and even says Starscream wanted Jackie conscious for the smelting. Wheeljack throws Steve off the ledge and rides him to safety. Steve blows up but is repaired. Steve's Seeker form and the other Seekers are sent to Wheeljack's location and he reports they arrive. They see a grenade and Steve shouts it out. The grenade goes boom, but Steve gets out of the blast range and survives. The blast just messed up the Decepticon signal, looking like Steve died. Oh, so Steve didn't die. Wow, he's actually pretty tanky. Prey. Steve is present in the mine that Bulkhead and Wheeljack raided. Jackie jumped over Steve's crate. He says, Autobot! When Predaking comes charging in. Steve and the other miners started running for their lives. They are all died. Perfect English. In the explosion of the mine, but Steve survived and is repaired. Rebellion. Steve is in another Energon mine when the Insecticons fly in and land in front of him. Steve reports that the mine isn't under attack. Chain of command. Steve accompanied Starscream to Scotland and asks if Starscream isn't wearing the Apex armor just to protect himself. Steve and the Seekers soon take on Miko but get trashed. They soon retreat. Thirst. Steve was Salus's first Vehicon victim. He tried to drain Starscream and Knockout but they blew up his head and sparked. He was soon repaired and returned to service. I mean, if you can survive becoming a zombie and coming back from the dead, then guys, Steve for Smash, Steve for Versus Series, come on, make it happen. Evolution. Steve was in the mine when Autobots attacked. He was destroyed once more by this repair. Of course. -1. Steve and a group of Vehicons accompanied Shockwave to the Solaris Particle Collider installation. They all died, but Steve survived and is repaired. I like how Steve's appearances towards the end of the series are becoming more violent, and like he, dies, gets repaired more often in the first couple of, episodes in the first few seasons. Persuasion. Steve and 4 Seeker Vehicons joined Starscream in an attack on the Autobot base and all managed to survive, despite the US military sending a squad of Sky Strikers against them. And that's it for Steve in Transformers Prime, but now we have his canon appearance in Robot in Disguise. So here he goes. Before the end of the Great War and after he had been repaired due to Terracon vampire injuries in the episode thirds, a Vehicon resembling to Steve and the other Vehicons had been assigned by Starscream to guard an energon mine and wait for miners to arrive. Because of the Autobots preventing the Decepticons from firing the second Omega Lock during the episode Deadlock, the miners never came and the 3 Vehicons didn't know the war was over. They were eventually found by Steeljaw and helped him out with his plans. Steve and the other 2 Vehicons turned on Steeljaw after Optimus Prime showed them Starscream's arm. Optimus offered them a ride back to Cybertron and they wouldn't be war criminals for helping Steeljaw since they didn't know the war was over. Steve declined and the 3 Vehicons continued to live in peace, waiting for Megatron's or Starscream's return. Like the loyal trooper he is, salute! You guys can't see it, but I'm saluting right now to this computer screen, yeah. And finally, we're gonna end this all with relationships. Steve is a loyal soldier in the Decepticon ranks, and so he doesn't have much in the way of relationships beyond following the orders of his superiors and hoping to survive to the next day. He's loyal to whoever is in charge, but he will not simply follow every order blindly, such as when he questions Starscream about his leadership of the Decepticons. He addresses any leader as Lord if they ask him to. He and Gary are not fond of their fellow canon father, the Decepticons, since they seem more like scavengers and scrap eaters. And yeah guys, that's the story of Steve. I like out of most characters that appear in Transformers Prime, like at least the ones that we see like Arachnid, Dreadwing and so on, Steve is the one that makes it all the way to Robots in Disguise. Now can we get Steve for Smash? But anyways guys, that's it for this video. Shoutouts goes to our patrons, Moirice Prime, Ipos Fate, Mario Gordon, Predaking Hunter Plays, Mr. Baby Duke, and the absolute madman himself, Jordan the Great, who donated $100. Thanks for your support guys. Make sure to go check out their channels, links in the description down below, and if you guys want to shout out yourself, all you have to do is donate to my Patreon. By donating to my Patreon, you get quite a few rewards. You can get a shout out to your channel, you can request your own videos, you can collab with me in some of my videos if you choose to. You get a special role on my Discord server. You can also get early access to my videos and stuff like that. There's plenty of rewards to choose from and it's entirely optional. It sounds like a pretty good deal, right? But keep in mind, this is entirely optional since freedom is the right of all sentient beings. Thank you guys for donating, it's much appreciated. So yeah, thanks a lot guys. So this was a fun little video I wanted to do. I actually tried making this video last year, but I don't know, I didn't find it to be as interesting back then, or at least the way I narrated it. So hopefully you enjoyed. I like how in the community poll, there's actually quite a few people who don't know who Steve is, and hopefully, like, Steve gets the barricade treatment. Like, Hasbro acknowledges Steve, and they're like, I feel like we could like do a lot with this guy, and they decided to include him in further Transformers projects. Wouldn't it be crazy cool if we see a random Vehicon in the Transformers Netflix series, and that is the new version of Steve, the canon new version of Steve? That would be great. I'll be keeping an eye out for that. So yeah, that's it for this video guys. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Stay safe guys.